here was 40 years old. This piece of wood here is. I taken it out on a house that we're living in. And I cut the lumber to build a house and 40 years ago, and so that's one of the old plank right there. And this is some scraps that come off of a job where I was laying brick. I picked up some of those scraps and glued them together and made the fiddle. I think that'll do, hon. We'll take that out and put it in there. Other thing, let me watch it a little bit.
In the early 30s, the Massengale family over here was a family of old fiddlers. What I mean old, they, father, grandfather, and daddy, and they all played fiddle. And they were, in my opinion, great. Mr. Alvis Massengale was a generation ahead of me. Well, in the early 30s, if I remember right, my daddy invited the Massengale, Mr. Massengale, Alvis, and his daddy, Franklin, to a birthday dinner next house here where the Jones were having, Andrew G.A. Jones was having a birthday party. The birthday dinner, I believe the way they described it back then. And Daddy asked Mr. Massengale to bring his fiddle over. He'd made records in like 29 or 30 along there. And they made them just to get a nickel or a dime. They sold the rights away. They didn't get much out of them, just a little for recording. We had one of these old wind-up Edison record players with wasn't the disc records, it was a cylinder record. You ever seen one of those? Mm-hmm. Okay, they had one of those downtown. Just wind that thing up and playing it, let Mr. Massengale listen to it. And he picked that fiddle up in a minute. I could hear that thing talking. I never got away from it. He just had a grip on me, and I wanted a fiddle so bad. And this was Depression years, honey. There was no extra money for anything. But I got a hold of a uke, and I put me a bridge on it, raised the strings, and found me an old slick reed cane. It come from a ditch, slick, and I could play a tune on that thing. My daddy had a first cousin with a good old fiddle. He couldn't play it, but he had it. He seen some way or another I'd go have to have a fiddle in the family. He went down, spent the night with that man, and brought that fiddle back. I remember him in a wagon, traveling in a wagon, top that hill out here where Dale lived, sawing on the fiddle. Well, of course, when I got a real fiddle, it was as foreign to me, I wasn't acquainted with a real fiddle. It'd taken a long time to get to where that thing felt comfortable, I hadn't had it no time. I was invited to a fiddler's contest at Dixie School out last of all things. I got down there, and there was another young man my age, Ross Beckham from Meridian. I think he may be quit now. we played against each other, and us just 15-year-old boys. Later years, we paths crossed, from time to time, and he called me up from Meridian one time, and we discussed some of that stuff. Well, that's the days of the craving the fiddle. I mean, I couldn't get away from it. TNW, Nashville, Tennessee, the Grand Ole Opry and stuff like that. Anytime there was a fiddle going, it had me captured. I could have learned to sing if I had devoted myself to singing like I devoted it to playing that thing. But it didn't happen that way. Well, after having the COVID, I had that, and I'm not normal now, and I don't have the coordination. I fell, and I hurt myself, and I tried to play a little down at my birthday party, and I told Wayne that I wasn't able to play that, but he thought, not being acquainted with trying to learn it, he thought you just pick it up and go, but it don't work that way. Well, John, there's so much of that fiddle life. And then I got fascinated with the way Chet Atkins played these guitars. Then I'd taken that up for a while, but then it drifted back to the fiddle again, and we got a chance in 1973 to work with the American Folklife Festival in Washington. With the Smithsonian, they sent talent scouts out through this area looking for people who could play. And we had a Saturday night picking down at Marshall Cummings, Sebastopol, and the man from Smithsonian was down there. He says, "Yeah, you will hear from me." Well, I mean, he was going through and selecting performers for that festival, designed to for Mississippi. And we got a lot of us. So we got Billy Ray to sing, Glenn to play his guitar, me with the fiddle. We called them Newton County Boys. They recorded that stuff into the archives. Well, that's when Union started its Country Day as a follow-up of 73. The mail carrier would stop in, we'd talk about it, and he's trying to get it together to have Country Day for you. Well, the first few Country Days at Union, they would start at 8 o'clock in the morning and go to midnight. We played one or two like that all day long. But since this COVID stuff has come lately, I think they've got to dismiss Country Day. But now it was a stump jumper one time.